This is a great example of what LDS parents do. We force participation in the things that we feel are important. And this is where it started, clear back in the Nauvoo Legion. You're going to be in our parade. It's important to us. Here we go.
These things happen in the church even today, right? Our Lord's going to have a float in the parade. You have to participate. Yep. But we don't fine people for not participating.
Yeah, but we could. Maybe we will.
We say you either have to show up or you have to contribute financially to helping us make the float. Or you're going to get
called to serve in the nursery.
As the cold winds of winter sweep in, there's nothing like the warmth of a comforting cup to help you slow down and unwind. This is the season. Let Postum be your cozy companion. Made from roasted grains, Postum is caffeine-free and rich with a smooth roasted flavor. It's the perfect drink for those quiet, chilly mornings. Whether you're curled up with a good book, sharing a laugh with loved ones, or simply watching the snow fall outside, a cup of Postum is the moment you have been waiting for.
If you like meaningful LDS products that don't feel mass-produced, you should check out Latter Day 3D Studio. We design and 3D print magnets of many varieties, including temples and the Christus, as well as clean modern ties you can wear to church or inside the temple. Use code LDS for 15% off, available now for listeners. Everything is thoughtfully designed, printed in-house, and created to quietly reflect faith without being flashy. Head to LatterdayThreeDstudio.com and don't forget to use code LDS again at checkout to save an extra 15%. Latter Day 3D Studio, meaningful faith thoughtfully made.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome.
I wanted to do a horn over you, Matt. I'm sorry. Let's start again.
No, that was a good way to start.
You ready?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Latter Days. I am your host, Matt. Along with me is Melissa. We are the T-Wild siblings because it's just crazy in here.
Well, we're feeling wild. We are feeling so T-Wild.
You know, Melissa, I'm a little jealous that you recorded an episode without me. Nobody even invited me. Nobody told me.
You're not jealous. You don't care. It was fine.
Fun, I liked it. I thought it was good. I didn't check if there were listener comments on that episode because I only look for listener comments on our joint episode. So, listeners, if you wrote into them,
you really want to know what people think about you. It's very self-centered.
No, it's just that if you write into the siblings, you get to hear the siblings respond, and if it's one of those other weeks, we don't respond. And I don't pay enough attention, Melissa. Do the Twim sisters or the T-Wild sisters, do they ever open the mailbag or look at comments or anything?
Not on the show. I'm sure they look at comments, but they don't reply to them openly on the show.
I bet they're like all of us, where they just scroll through comments, just endlessly saying, I need affirmation. I need validation. I need to know that everything will be okay. Hey, Melissa, last time we talked, my sister or my daughter was not engaged. But now
I know, I was waiting for the update.
She's engaged.
Yeah.
And remember how you asked me if he was asking for her hand in marriage?
Yeah.
And I said no. Well, he was just as cute as your son-in-law.
No.
He texted me and he's like, Can I call you on the phone sometime? And I was like, sure. We arranged a time to talk on the phone, and he's like, hello, Matt. It's good to talk to you. Like, it's good to talk to you.
You're like, yeah, we haven't really talked since we shared that room on the cruise ship together for an entire week. You in the bed next to me and my sleep apnea machine. We haven't really been close since then.
He's like, I hate to do this on the phone, but I have a question I'd like to ask you. I was like, okay. And he's like, I really love your daughter, and I want to spend my life with her. And I think I'm asking for your blessing to marry her. I'm like, sure, you have my blessing. I'm fine with that. Go ahead and do it.
I'm disappointed he didn't want to talk to Sandra also, to your wife also.
Well, he wanted to know that she was on board, and she was in the room. So I shouted over and I said, hey, Sandra, are you okay with this? And she's like, I'm fine with this. And then, because it was really important to our daughter that there was like a surprise when she was engaged. So he actually told us he was going to propose to her the next day. And then we totally pranked her and made her think it wasn't happening for a really long time. And so that was kind of fun.
Yeah. Our family got the text from her that she was engaged, and we were all sitting down watching the Super Bowl when it happened. And we were like, did they just get engaged on Super Bowl Sunday? And all
Yeah.
of my kids were like, I bet they have no idea it's even Super Bowl Sunday. That's not even on the radar.
No, they went to a Super Bowl party. They got engaged on their way to a Super Bowl party.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. We weren't
Well,
watching the
that's
Super Bowl,
good. That's
Melissa.
exciting.
I'm one of those
You weren't?
no, I'm one of those super righteous people that doesn't watch the Super Bowl. And I like
Or
to
do you just not watch TV on Sunday at all?
Yeah, we don't watch TV at all on Sunday. I love football.
Mhm.
I actually record the Super Bowl and watch it the next morning. I wake up early and watch it, and I skip all the commercials and stuff, so it's really fast. And then the whole time I feel a little bit better, holier than
Yeah.
the
I was
members of
gonna
our church
say,
who are.
yeah, it makes you feel like you're better than everybody else and that you're
Mhm,
more righteous and that you really make decisions based on what would be best for your eternal salvation.
mhm.
And your sister, she makes decisions based on, are the Seahawks going to win? And they did. They won. It was the best. It was so exciting. We've never
Mm.
had such delightful family togetherness as we did on the Sunday of the Super Bowl. It was
Oh, because
magical.
your son also loves the Seahawks, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Long time fan. Yeah.
Okay, this is a tangent. Did you know that Chris Pratt also is a huge Seahawks fan?
I didn't, but I believe that because in the order of holy people, there's the Savior, then my brother Matt, then Chris Pratt. So it doesn't surprise me that he's
Yeah,
right up there in his, yeah.
that's kinda why I brought him up. Because have you seen his ads for the app where you pray for the next 40 days of Lent?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so Chris Pratt, Mark Wahlberg, the guy who plays Jesus in The Chosen, they're all doing these ads saying, "Hey, sign up for this app." They're being very open about their faith and the importance of prayer and coming close to Jesus during Lent, and they all had their ashes on their foreheads for Ash Wednesday. So Chris Pratt, I mean, he's being open and honest about his faith and encouraging people to follow and join with him in learning more about Jesus, praying.
Well, he's always been that way. He's always been that sort of a faithful, out there kind of a person. And I've liked that about him. But I will say, I didn't notice their ads on Sunday of the Super Bowl. They weren't playing then.
Did you
I did not see them then.
Did you happen to see Kanye West's ads about Nazis or something like that?
No, I didn't see any of those. I don't think that happened this year. Did it? I don't think so.
I don't watch the commercials. I heard that he had an ad in the Super Bowl for his website, and if you go to his website, the only thing on there was, like, pro-Nazi messages.
No, that wasn't this year. That was a previous year.
Oh, okay. Alright.
This year, the ads were fantastic. They were really,
Oh.
really good. There were a few flops. Okay, so this is how I watch the ads. And now again, I want to be clear. I am not pious and holy like you on the Sabbath day watching TV. I want the ads to entertain me. I want them to be hilarious and
Mhm.
just I just want to be so entertained. So whenever there was one of those ads where it's kind of like they want to pull at your heartstrings or make you feel emotional, I'm just like, boo, boo. No. So there was a little bit of booing, but it was mainly really, really good.
And did you watch the Bad Bunny do you guys watch the Bad Bunny halftime show?
My children were very interested in watching it. I didn't actually watch it. That was when I took time to um, go upstairs and clean up the fantastic feast that we'd been having.
Mm.
So I didn't care. I don't know who he is. I'm not interested in his music. But my children were, and they said it was fine. And I'm there for the football, but also, I like to clean. So that's what I did.
Every year I try to watch the halftime show, and every year it reminds me of why I never go to live music, because everybody I've ever seen do a halftime show, I'm like, I could turn on Spotify right now and it would sound so much better than this stupid halftime show. I can't understand
Well,
what
it's
they're
about the
saying.
performance, not the sound, right?
Oh, okay, I don't get
I
that, like,
mean,
I don't understand. Yeah. I don't go to live
you go to
concerts.
concerts? Yeah,
No.
you don't go to concerts.
Did you know
Yeah.
the guy from the Piano Guys, John Schmidt, he's coming in concert tomorrow as a
Oh,
fundraiser
are you
for
gonna
the
go?
No, nope, I don't like concerts.
Oh, fundraiser for what?
The Rexburg Tabernacle. It's like, remember in Back to the Future, they're like, "Save the clock tower"? We're doing the
Mm-hmm.
Save the Tabernacle Before It Falls Down.
Okay.
One Republic is coming in concert. I'm not going to
For the
that.
Tabernacle?
Something like that. For something they're coming to BYU Idaho to do a concert, and I will not be
Maybe
there.
just to do a concert. One Republic is great in concert. Matt, maybe you should go.
What if I just sit in the parking lot and turn on Spotify and listen to my favorite One Republic songs?
No, that doesn't count. Matt, it's not just that you're, I don't know, holier than thou. It's that you're kind of fuddy-duddy, too.
Speaking of fuddy-duddy, I won't say what I thought of because anyhow, let's go to we'll open the mailbag. That'll be more fun.
Okay, that sounds great.
At Barup123 wrote in, Melissa and Matt, I just love listening to the two of you. Thank you for sharing your time and insights. On Big Deal Little Deal. Yeah, that was good. And then she lays into us a little bit. It's fine.
That's fine.
On Big Deal, Little Deal, No Deal, I think you missed the mark when it comes to ward or stake disability specialists. This is a big deal. Every ward and stake should have this calling. Ask yourself, do you have any members who are aging? Any members who are hard of hearing? Any members who are neurodivergent? Any members who are homebound? Any members with a severe mental or physical disability? Or maybe someone that can't see well? All of these members could benefit from someone advocating for them. The input of a disability specialist could make a huge difference for those that struggle. I agree. I agree 100% that it's a good calling to have in every ward. I think I just said I didn't want that calling. I wouldn't be good at that.
I would be terrible at that calling. No, I appreciate the way that this listener explained all of the different things that a disability specialist could do to help. I definitely didn't think of all of those things. Again, I would be terrible at this calling, and I do not want it, nor can I honestly say if I was struggling with any of those things, I don't want someone there to help me either. I want to be left alone. But I'm different than a lot of people, and I get that. That's fine. But I do think it is a unique opportunity for somebody to have the chance to share talents that they don't normally get to have to share. So
yeah,
if you have those talents, that's cool.
In our current ward, we have individuals who meet every single one of the things she described. We have individuals in wheelchairs. We have individuals with walkers. We have individuals that can't see. We have neurodivergent individuals in our ward. We have people that are homebound in our ward. And what I see in our ward is that ministering brothers and sisters primarily take care of the ministering needs, both in helping them feel comfortable at church or helping them with their needs if they're homebound. But I also acknowledge that I live in a special ward with we have an abundance of really, really active, really, really faithful people who are just anxious to serve in my ward. And that's not the way it is everywhere in the church. I can imagine that there are places where it would be really nice to have somebody who's in charge of organizing all of that stuff so that it doesn't always fall on the same people.
Okay. Well, thanks for writing in. I think that's excellent. And yeah, everybody, Matt really does like it when you write in and comment, and he really, really does. I also like to see, I don't know, it's just fun to hear from you guys to know who's out there. You're all from such different places in the world and such different walks of life. And me and Matt, we only have our perspectives. We just we're a brother and sister, and we don't think that much alike, but we definitely aren't able to look at all the different perspectives. So that's why I like to hear from all of you is hey, let us think about something in a different way than we would have thought of it. So that's all.
I like it, Melissa.
Good. I'm glad.
All right. Let's move to because you got me thinking about fuddy-duddy.
Oh, man. Are you going to be able to recover? Are we going to be able to complete the podcast?
Well, because now it's Elder Gilbert. Elder Clark G. Gilbert was called to be a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles.
Is that what you think of when you think of Elder Gilbert as fuddy-duddy?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he's a little bit that way.
What do you mean? Because when I said fuddy-duddy, I basically meant that you're kind of old and kind of set in your old-fashioned ways. Is that what you mean?
Yes, 100%. You just described Clark G. Gilbert. But that's okay because he's a delightful individual, and one can be fuddy-duddy and a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. Did the sisters talk about this last week, how he was called to the 12?
Yeah, they did talk about how he was called to the 12. Since then, he has been doing a little bit of what you would call a press tour, I would guess. And I wanted to let you talk about Elder Gilbert because I know that you knew him personally before he was called to the 12. I mean, I would say still know him personally. But I did want to mention this. A few weeks ago, I talked about how when Elder Kieran did the YSA devotional, it was very much a him and his wife. It was a we. And I noticed that Elder Gilbert, in his very first, as soon as they called him, the very first thing that he put out was him and his wife sitting there together. And it was the same thing. It was a we. And I love this shift. I don't know if, everybody's doing this, if it was intentional, but I love that was the first thing that he put out.
I think that it's always been that way. If you look at the stuff with President Uchtdorf, it's he and his wife. I've never seen Elder Bednar without his wife. Like, I think Elder Holland, it's almost always a both of them calling.
But they don't use the speaking we when they're making announcements or pronouncements, like, right? Like, we invite you to do this. We suggest.
Oh,
That's the shift. Not just that they're there by their side. Yeah. But that it's we're a partnership.
I really like Sister Gilbert. She's great.
Yeah. Now that I'm talking about that, we did have a comment on that from one of our listeners. Shoot, I forgot to put it in our comments. But this listener said in response to that, that he only recalls sustaining Elder Kieran as an apostle and seer and revelator, and that, he didn't sustain his wife. It's kind of a valid comment. It's not the way I like to look at things, but what do you think about that?
So doctrinally, that's 100% true. We only sustain the members of the Quorum of the 12 in the first presidency as prophets, seers, and revelators. But I think if you talk to any of them, they will tell you that their wife they couldn't do what they do without their wife, that their wife is like a huge part of why they are who they are. And in terms of the load and the burden that a person carries in that calling, I think that it's unrealistic to think that the wife doesn't shoulder a lot of that burden along with the husband. So she doesn't get set
Sister
apart.
Gilbert says, no, she doesn't get set apart. Listen, I serve in a calling that I haven't been set apart for in my YSA word. I don't have a calling, but I certainly have a lot of work to do there, right?
Yep.
That's assigned to me. But let's say Sister Gilbert or Sister Kieran says, I recommend this, or I suggest this, or I have a testimony of this, or whatever it is. What this listener is saying, like, well, good, that's just like another person saying something. Whereas if the husband says it, then I'm like, okay, marching orders. I don't love that perspective.
No.
Frankly.
No.
But I mean, I get it. It's technically, I guess, right?
I don't think that's true at all. No,
Oh,
I think that everybody who's called to serve in the church, no matter what your calling is given the inspiration of the Holy Ghost to help them with their calling. And like, if I'm a missionary and my mission president says something, and my mission president's wife says something, I don't like differentiate and be like, well, that was just the wife, not the man. Like, by the way, I don't think that I need to just fall in line with everything that everybody in the Quorum of the 12 ever says, right? So it's true, like, members of the Quorum of the 12 apostles are asked to speak in general conference and their wives are not. But if there's like a young adult devotional, or there's like something and the husband and the wife are speaking, I think it would be a mistake to say, I'm going to disregard what the wife is saying during this speech or this talk because she doesn't have the same calling as her husband.
Yeah. Okay, good, Matt. I like the way you said that. Did you want to say anything else about Elder Gilbert as, a person or anything like that?
Well, I will say, I guess I'll say this because I do know him well. And he and I have had disagreements about things, as people well. You often disagree with them about various things. And I will just say that I think that he was prepared for this calling. I think that he will do well in this calling. I think he'll grow in this calling. Oh, I do want to say this because I've been seeing a lot of this in the news, that he's conservative, and
Yeah.
I would say to that, he is conservative. I think that I've seen some clips where he's like, well, there's no political party that exactly whatever my views. He's conservative, and his faith in Jesus Christ and his conservative morals and values are a huge part of who he is as a person. And I think that it's okay to have members of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles who are political conservatives. Now, if you're a liberal, you might not be comfortable with that because you might say, well, I was hoping the church would be moving in a different direction. But I think that it's a mistake to be like, well, like that this is somehow, I think it's a mistake to look at it as a political move, that President Oaks is somehow trying to like shift the way that people think. Like, we are who we are as individuals. And I think that there's value in having different perspectives in the governing councils of the church. And there are people in there that I would say probably lean a little left. And there's Europeans that probably have different perspectives. And there's nothing wrong with saying Elder Gilbert is conservative and he sees things from a particular perspective, because millions of members of our church see the world that way. And there's nothing wrong with having that be represented in the 12.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way of saying that. I think when people are concerned about him being conservative, they're concerned about him being conservative in a gospel perspective, so that he might be swinging more towards, I don't know, old ways of doing things as opposed to moving in a new way of doing things. And I don't know whether that's true or not. I think what you just said meets the mark either way. But I will say that just because we believe that the church should move in a certain direction, one apostle is not going to start or stop or thwart or end that effort, right? Those sorts of changes come through revelation and through inspiration, mainly to the prophet. But so I just would like to say, like, it's not like one person's going to come in and all of a sudden, all of the temple ceremony is going to change, or you know what I mean? It's like
Right.
this is just one person. Yeah.
Or I think people look at it and say, well, someday, because of his age, someday he's likely to be the president of the church, and then maybe he's going to just turn things back 50 years or something. This is what I can say about Clark Gilbert. His only agenda, from everything I can ever, and every experience I've ever had with him, his only agenda is ever to do exactly what the Lord wants him to do. And when he gets direction from the Lord, he points his whole life, his whole everything in that direction, and does exactly that. So I would imagine if I were in a Quorum of the 12 discussion with him about an issue, he's going to tell me his personal feelings. He's going to tell me what he thinks. He's going to advocate for the things he thinks is right. But then when it becomes clear what the Lord's will, he's going to shift whatever he does to match that. And that's everything you would want in a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles.
Yeah, agreed. Well, thanks, Matt. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, I have noticed a change, and I want to believe that this is President Oaks driven. It might not be, but I'm going to tell you what the change is by reading you a bunch of headlines from the church newsroom that have been in the last, I don't know, I'd say week and a half. Okay. And what I want you to notice is how international these headlines are. Okay. First one, Elder Quentin L. Cook meets with the president of Ghana. Next, Elder Bednar welcomes Bahrain ambassador. Next, Church of Jesus Christ helps a new learning center for visual disabilities in Kenya. Next, Liberia chapter of the J. Reuben Clark Law Society inducts first leadership. Next, visit with Tonga Prime Minister, marked by faith. Next, church gifts generator to help power Guatemala's largest hospital. Next, interfaith collaboration brings elderly care home to the Czech village. And Chile, Peru officials visit with church leaders to promote religious freedom. Okay, the church has always been operating all over the world, doing all kinds of things and donating things, but also meeting with leaders. It has never been promoted in this way. And I kind of think this is President Oaks driven, and I like it. I think the shift is like, hey, let's talk about all of these things. Let's not just mention it when there's, I don't know, a huge donation like we sometimes do. But like all of these things happened in the last week and a half. We have general authorities, including sisters in the Relief Society, all over the world, functioning, donating, providing relief, meeting with, world leaders. And finally, I feel like we're going to mention it. Like we're going to talk about it nonstop. Do you think that's President Oaks driven?
I think that he is encouraging members of the 12 to meet with world leaders.
Yeah.
I think that it used to be they would go to their countries and then do mission visits along the way. I think that I don't know. I don't know if it's happening more, if he's promoting it more. I don't think that he's a promotional kind of guy. That to me doesn't feel like President Oaks.
Oh, I think that this is going to be one of his strengths in leadership. Like we've talked about before, he might not be the very best, charismatic speaker, for example, right? He's a great speech writer, right? But charisma, maybe not. But I think he's really good at organization and And I think this is a presentation of organization. That's what I think it is.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I thought you were just saying like that the church news is talking about it more.
Well, I think that maybe there is some instruction to say, hey, we've taken the focus and like for so long, the focus has been like, oh, we don't say the word Mormon. Instead of having the focus on what we don't do, let's change the focus to what we do do. Like, let's shift away from that. And let's just like, it's about time to just like, let's focus on all of the good we do. Let's just say so. Let's just mention it.
Yeah. Okay.
I
like
hope that's a trend that we continue to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I have noticed a shift in the church news's coverage of things, and I think it's positive.
Mhm.
I just don't know if it's from President Oaks, but yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
like
that's
it.
fair. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, the next story is that the conference center is going to close for a year in preparation of the open house of the Salt Lake City Temple.
The conference center in Salt Lake City where they hold the broadcast. So
Yeah, so they're still going to do events, major events there, but
they're still going to hold conference there.
yeah. But ever since like they started renovating the temple, the missionaries, because there was no visitor center, so the missionaries would do tours of the conference center and they would take you through the conference center and then they would do their mission tours over there. But now they've got the visitor center opened over on Temple Square. And so now they're going to close the conference center. That might affect parking. It used to be you could park there if you did like a little tour or something like that. But I don't know. But just so people are aware, if you're hoping to go through the conference center and see the artwork and the paintings of the church leaders and the escalators and the fountains, you won't be able to do that unless you're at conference or an event.
Well, I guess they're really getting ready for the Salt Lake City Temple rededication open house.
I wonder if they're going to renovate something on the inside of the conference center. They haven't really announced that they're doing anything other than closing it and preparing.
Well, it doesn't need a renovation. It's still very, very nice
So
in there.
why close it?
No, I think that there's stuff they got to get ready downtown for. What are they saying? Like 3 to 4 million people are going to come to the open house of the Salt Lake City Temple.
Do you think that's more than what was there in the Olympics in 2002?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. Hey, this is building related, but not so clean. In Springville, there were some kids that wiped poop all over the chapel in a LDS church. And they're still on the run, by the way. You can follow the link in the show notes and help snatch these bandits who are up to no good. They get caught on video. And then
they got caught on what video?
I don't know what the footage is from.
Do we have videos in our chapel? Do we have cameras in our chapel? I don't think so.
There's a picture of them. It looks like they're inside of... Yeah, it's unclear where it is. It looks like it's inside of a church building. Are there not cameras in church buildings? There must be.
No, do you think there's cameras in church buildings? No.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I don't know where these photos are from, but you can see the kids in their photos. And an LDS church was vandalized in Harlem. Somebody wrote on the building, "There is no afterlife." So,
oh no.
Won't they be sad when they find out that there is an afterlife and that God is just and he he comes after the wicked.
What is the just punishment for vandalizing and saying there is no afterlife? What is the just punishment, Matt?
I think you have to, like, while you're in hell, you have to, like, write, "There is an afterlife. I was wrong," like 1,000,000 times.
On a chalkboard. Matt, he's not going to hell for that, first of all. Okay.
Well, we don't believe in like a permanent hell, right? It's like spirit prison.
Clean up everything that the poopy bandits smear poop on.
And what's their punishment? The poopy bandits.
Well, they're just kids. They're
I know. They just do dumb things.
How young are they in the picture? How young would you say they are? Teenagers or like kids?
It's embarrassing. Yeah, they're at least 13 years old.
Oh, really? Matt, I want to say that you would never have done that at 13 years old with your friends.
For sure.
You would have.
Something about playing with feces always felt right to me.
Okay, great.
Hey, this week we're starting a new segment called Book Club.
Well, I felt like there was a lot of stories about books, and that being the academics that we are, we should probably regularly have a book club about books that we may or may not have read.
Or books that I will never read because I don't read books.
It's so sad, Matt. It's so sad.
I know.
Last year, my count was 137.
Wow, Melissa, that's so good.
I know.
I read about books. And
Yeah.
then
And you write
sometimes,
books.
yes, and then sometimes I watch movies that were made of books, and I'm like, whoa, how is this book popular? Like, this is a weird story. But
Hmm.
anyhow,
Okay.
okay, the first one is a book review from a book called Dispatches from Mormon Zion. So, Ryan Davis, he's a political scientist at BYU,
Mm.
and he actually has a book about political philosophy of Taylor Swift. He is a Swiftie,
I
and
would like to talk to him.
yeah, he's a delightful person.
Okay.
Um, on my other podcast, my daughter offended me because she said like he was a better political philosopher than me, and I just thought, how rude! Like, why
Mhm.
would you say that to me? But anyhow, he wrote a book about what it's like to live in Zion or Provo as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And it's all just stories that we would all know if you lived in Utah. But he did it with a Christian press. So he's like the book equivalent of that Pastor Jeff guy, right? There's that Pastor Jeff
Oh,
that comes
okay.
into Utah and tells evangelicals what it's like in Utah. And he's like, I'm a member of the church in Utah. I can tell evangelicals what it's like in Utah. And he wrote a little book about it. And the review suggests that some evangelicals like the book because now they have a better sense of what it's like in Utah.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to think what my living in Utah LDS story would be. I don't think it would
Hold
be
on.
very exciting. I think it would be I went to the Maverick and got my Diet Dr. Pepper and ran into 3 members of my ward.
Let's see. There's a lot of talk about Swift in the book. And let's see. Let me see any stories. He talks about being pure in heart and one mind. And he talks about what is Mormon Zion like. Let's see.
Mm.
We encounter a story about a sofa that travels down a Provo street and a Pioneer Day bake contest. Among other stories, he mixes these stories into an interlude in which he reflects on the idea of how Zion emerged in Joseph Smith's mind.
Oh,
It's about
okay.
replacing discord with unity.
Oh, okay. So it's different than the stories I was thinking of. Okay, great. Well, wonderful. I'll look forward to reading that. I'll report back. Okay, my turn.
Yeah.
Okay, so Matt Groh is writing a biography on President Holland. It hasn't come out yet. He's writing it right now. But interesting is that he started writing it before Elder Holland died. So back in 2023, Elder Holland came to Matt Groh and said, "Will you start writing my biography?" So that's kind of fun because he gets actual, interviews and stuff with Elder Holland. But then he's finishing the book now, adding on, what it was like to be ill and lose his wife and all of those kinds of things towards the end of his life. So just wanted to mention that that's something we can look forward to in the near future.
I love Matt Groh. He's a great
Yeah.
historian.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I also love President Holland. Well, David Archuleta has a memoir out, and everybody's talking about that one. It's much more popular than the Dispatches from Zion by Ryan
Yeah.
Davis.
Well, I mean, he's much more popular right now. Honestly, okay, go ahead. You can go ahead.
So he talks about a lot of things, but he talks about how it was hard for him to be a member of the church and be gay. And he talks about he had plans to drive off a cliff amid his third engagement to a woman in 2020. He says, I'd prayed so many times to not be gay. God had apparently given up on me. Up until that point, he was thought of just as perfect little guy, and now he has a different way that he's perceived. And
Mm-hmm.
it's all about the challenges that David Archuleta faced.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to speak as a librarian for a minute, okay?
Mhm.
I know that some parents are like, "Oh, I don't want my kid to read a book." Cuz David Archuleta, he's still kind of somewhat popular among the young people, right? As an
Yeah.
artist. I don't want my kid to read that because, it's going to make them feel anti-Mormon or something like that. And what I would say is let your kids read books by anybody, even if they're church adjacent, even if their message isn't exactly 100% what you would say. The first reason why is because it's important to hear other perspectives. It's important to develop empathy for other people. And it's important to understand that, like, a lot of people who walk around you have different life experiences. Also, I would say that recent research shows that, and this is very recent and very big research shows that when young people, teenagers read, even if they read books that you would think are like bad or edgy or maybe even borderline inappropriate. I'm not saying read like, bad books, but I'm saying that that is actually really good for them developmentally. For all of those reasons, what they've shown is children who read books of all kinds, but especially what they call bad books, end up being the best people. They grow up to be very good people who have very good hearts and very good morals. So I think that, I think
So
that reading things like that, you don't need to be afraid of it. That's all I'm
so
saying.
bad books isn't pornography
No, no,
or
no, no, no,
or
no.
like
But a book
bad
like
books.
this where he says, I had this experience and it made me leave the church. That doesn't mean that your child is going to read that and be like, oh, me too, I leave the church. It's
Oh,
actually almost always going to do the exact opposite. It's going to make them examine themselves and their lives in a more profound way, but also have empathy for other people. It doesn't mean that they follow those people and live like those people.
I think if I were a parent that was concerned, now again, this would assume that I read, but I
Yeah,
think if I were a parent that was concerned that my kids might have an experience like that, I would read the book with my kid, not like sit down and read
sure.
it out loud, but I'd be like, why don't we read this book together at the same time and we'll discuss it at meals or something like that and see what you
Yeah.
think and I can say what I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of books like Jeanette McMurdy. She's the one who wrote I'm Glad My Mom Died. Or Sherry
Mm.
Frankie, who just wrote the biography
Mhm.
about herself, but her mom is Ruby Frankie. Um, all of those kind of books I think are so important for kids to read, especially if they're growing up LDS. And again, all of these people had completely different LDS experiences, even the
Yeah.
book Educated by Tara Westover. I think
Yeah.
they're great books to explore and understand. And the same with the next book that I'm going to tell you about in our book club.
Wait, let me say this about David Archuleta.
Sure.
The other reason people should read it, which again, I'm not going to read because I don't read. I did read Educated though. But anyhow,
Yeah.
because he is describing his experience as a member of our church and the pain that our church, in his perspective, the pain that our church caused him. And David Archuleta, you could tell from a young age, wanted so badly to be the good Mormon boy that everybody wants to be. And it can be really insightful to understand the experience that he went through, where he was trying so like it's clear to him from this little excerpt that like him trying to be the perfect Mormon boy led him to want to kill himself. And so the only solution he could see was to, if he wanted to live, was to leave the church. And so it can be really helpful to sort of like ask ourselves the question, if he was in my life or if I knew somebody like him, is there anything I could do that would help them see that they could both live and be in the church? And then what could I do to like, because if we've talked about this before, if
Yeah.
you think you don't know a gay person in the church, you're wrong. Everybody knows somebody that's gay. If you don't know about it, it doesn't mean that they're not gay. And so it's helpful to understand someone who's gone through that experience.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Yeah, thanks for framing that. Okay, so the next book is Told You So by Macy Neely. Macy is one of the women who's on The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Oh,
Her book I did not think I would be interested in because I don't know. I'm not like that much of a
you don't
fan
love
of
that
the
show?
show.
What?
Like even on the show, I don't even really like notice Macy that much.
Oh.
Anyways, this book is fantastic. And she's
Oh.
not like a great author or anything. It's not actually about the secret lives of Mormon wives. That's like the very last chapter. It's like, oh, and then I met these girls and we started doing TikToks together. Like it's not about that, but it is about growing up LDS. She was, it's mainly about her time as a student at BYU. She was a tennis player, the very best on the tennis team.
Oh, I've heard of her.
She got pregnant while she was at BYU. And it's a really
Was
interesting look
was
at
she
BYU
married?
life.
Was she married?
No, no, no,
Oh,
no, no, no.
she got pregnant outside of wedlock at BYU
Yeah,
as
yeah,
a
yeah.
tennis player?
As a tennis player. But it's a
Whoa.
great look at athletics at BYU, at how they handle stuff like that. I mean, they don't handle
Mm.
everything the same, but we've got a lot of stories currently about athletes
Sexual
and honor
assault.
code and sexual assault. And
Mhm.
and it's very similar to what you're saying with David Archuleta, right? She's trying to be a certain person. She's not that person. And where does that lead her? Anyways, it's fantastic. I think that right now Macy is one of the only Secret Lives of Mormon wives who's like active in the church, holds a temple recommend and stuff like that. So it's a great story about really coming to understand the gospel as on her own instead of, as something that she was just supposed to do. Anyways, I would recommend it.
Okay. And
Okay,
now we are closing the book on the book
on the
club,
book club.
and we're
Yes.
moving to Big deal, little deal, no deal.
No deal. Love it. Love
All
it.
right, here's the first story. President Oaks explains that he didn't begin a systematic, in-depth study of the doctrine of the church until he was 31 years old. Is that a big deal, little deal, no deal? 3, 2, 1. Big
Big
deal.
deal. This is interesting to me. I hadn't heard this.
Yeah, so he I think there's a biography of his that's out, but this is a story about the biography. But anyhow, in
Now,
that
why didn't we put it in book club? We messed up.
well, because this is just a story about a biography.
Yeah.
But so he says that the Korean War was going on when he was of age to serve a mission. So he didn't serve a mission. He's like, I believed in the church. I tried to be active in the church, but I never really studied the doctrine until he was 31 years old. And I think that's encouraging.
How old was he when he was called to be a general authority? He wasn't very old, right? In his 50s, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this means he was probably practicing law at University of Chicago Law School. I think he was called to be president of BYU not long after this, right?
Yeah.
I think it's encouraging. I think that a lot of people feel like you need to understand the doctrine of the church in order to be faithful in the church, and you don't. You really don't. You can be a good member of the church who doesn't like go about a systematic, in-depth study of the doctrine. Now, if you feel like it's something you should do or something you want to do, of course that's a fine thing, but I don't think it's a requirement of being righteous to do that.
Yeah, I don't either. I also think, I don't know. I think sometimes we think that general authorities, apostles, like that they've always had an easy life, and that the reason they're so faithful and good in the church is just because, like, you know, it always came easy to them. They always had a testimony. They always knew things. They always were, I don't know, just like obedient and all of that kind of thing, you know? And I like that President Oaks, that's not his story. I mean, he didn't go to jail, Matt. He didn't smear poop all over the chapel that we know of, right? Right? But he also, you know, he didn't have the traditional everything was easy and he just did everything right all the time path necessarily. I don't hear you, Matt. I'm sorry.
He was made BYU president at 39 years old. So
Wow.
8 years after he started studying the doctrine, he became BYU president.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, well, good story. Thanks, Matt. Here's my headline. It's different. Okay. Mormons. I'm sorry, I have to use that word because it's in the headline.
Please don't sue us, President Oaks.
Please don't sue us. Okay. Mormons in the Epstein files. Yes, there are Mormons in the Epstein files. Big deal, little deal, no deal. 3, 2, 1.
No
little deal.
Wait, aren't the Epstein files, first of all, heavily redacted, but second of all, like millions of pages long?
Matt, I'm surprised that I'm not mentioned in the Epstein files. It seems that there's literally everybody in the world is somehow mentioned in the Epstein files. It seems like they did like, let's pull every Google search from the last 40 years. And if anybody happened to search your name at some point. But listen, Matt, I have been wanting to talk about this because like much of the Epstein files, people on social media have gone crazy searching through the Epstein files and being like, oh, Mormon, Mormon. Now, I do think that there's a few parts of this that are slightly interesting, but here are the not interesting parts, okay? A lot of emails about going to the Book of Mormon, the musical, okay? Technically doesn't count as abuse of minors, but is interesting. Okay. Visiting with a church leader, visiting with I mean, he met with a lot of people. I don't know. Okay. Something about Mormon blood. I thought this was weird. Something about if something happens, I would like some Mormon blood. I don't think he's actually talking about blood. I think he's talking about like a debt payment, but it comes across as like somebody's drinking Mormon blood. I don't know. So those are a lot of the, you know, if you control F and search the word Mormon in the Epstein files, that's what you'll get. Okay. But there is one that I do think is interesting and worth discussing. It appears that Epstein attempted to pay tuition for a BYU Idaho student.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, tried to pay it. The check got sent back and then paid it again. I don't know if it was actually eventually paid by him. To me, that's uncomfortable, right? Like a BYU Idaho student getting tuition paid by Epstein. To me, that's uncomfortable.
Well, so I don't know a lot about Jeffrey Epstein, but I did like 2 days ago ask AI how Jeffrey Epstein got his wealth.
Okay.
And he's a fraudster. Like, he was not a good man in any way. It's not like he was like an upstanding person and then he did this awful stuff on the side. Like, from the very beginning, he was ripping off his employers and he was getting fired and he was stealing money from people.
Hmm.
And according to AI, what he did is he would like gain people's confidence and then take advantage of them. And so
Yeah.
to me, paying tuition for somebody is like totally in the wheelhouse of the kinds of things he would do, right? You
Yeah.
do some favor for somebody and then you expect reciprocity later on for you
Yeah.
to do horrible things. And by the way, if you're going to pay tuition, what could be cheaper than BYU Idaho tuition? Like, that's low hanging fruit if you're trying to gain somebody's trust and admiration. Like, paying their BYU Idaho tuition is chump change for someone like Epstein.
Yeah, it just makes me uncomfortable that, obviously he targeted a lot of young people, obviously. I just wish it was not a BYU Idaho student. And again, we don't know the exact details and what all that was about, but it's notable. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me
Yeah.
sad. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of abuse that happens in the world, and we
Yes.
can't believe that nobody at BYU Idaho is in that situation, but it made me sad.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 So many, I hate to say it, but so many young women at BYU Idaho have been sexually abused over their
Right.
lifetimes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Anyways, it's an exploitative headline, and
Yeah.
most of it amounts to actually nothing. Shocker. Yeah.
Okay, next one. Mixed reactions as portrait of Mormon founder unveiled at Morehouse. Joseph Smith painting stirs controversy on the all-male, historically black college and university campus during its annual Founders Week. Big
Okay.
deal, little deal, no deal. 3, 2, 1. No deal.
Well, I know everybody was really excited when we first heard that,
Yeah.
that the portrait of Joseph Smith had been unveiled. I think it's a little bit of a deal that people are upset about it.
Well, I could understand why if you're at a historically black college and you think of our church, you might say, hey, that's a racist church that didn't let black people have the priesthood for a long time. But as I read the story, I learned that Russell M. Nelson has a painting in there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And there are 2 other members of the church that have paintings in there. And I actually think it's instructive because Joseph Smith was an abolitionist, and Joseph Smith was like in favor of ending slavery and equality for black people at the time. So not every member of our church is racist or was racist, and it's okay to educate people about that. So I could see why there would be controversy for people who didn't know, but then it's a nice educating opportunity for people to learn those things.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at that, Matt. Do you think this is such a loaded question? Would you be okay with Brigham Young's picture in there?
I would have a little bit more beef if I were
Yeah.
a student at that school with Brigham Young.
I would too. Yeah.
But and probably for good reason. Yeah, but that's okay. We don't have to, like you said earlier, leaders of the church are not perfect. And yeah, I don't know. I don't want to make this about race and our church,
Right.
but yeah,
I
I
know.
could understand why people would not love Brigham Young's picture hanging in a historically black college
Yeah.
founders hall or whatever this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. All right. Here's my headline. An Olympic update about LDS members competing in the Olympics. Big deal, little deal, no deal. 3, 2, 1.
Big deal.
Big deal. Thank you for saying big deal. I thought you were going to say no deal.
No, there's nothing that's bigger deal than the Olympics.
Okay, agreed. And I would like it to be a bigger deal than a big deal. However, I could only find one Latter-day Saint who is competing in this time's Olympics. Is that weird? I could only find one Latter-day Saint?
No, that's not weird.
Usually it feels like there's a lot more, especially in Winter Olympics.
There are a lot of people from Utah. There are a lot of people
Yeah.
from Salt Lake City and Park
But
City.
a lot of the Utah teams train in Park City. So technically
Yeah.
they're from Utah, but yeah. Yeah, I could only find one athlete who's LDS, and I searched a lot of sites, including the church newsroom, but a lot of sites, and I could only find one. But should we be excited about him?
Of course. Yeah,
Okay,
of course.
he's on the 4-man bobsled team.
Oh,
His name's Caleb Furnell. He's 24, and he hasn't been a bobsledder for very long. He's competing for Italy, by the way, Italy. But it's because of his heritage. But he graduated from Utah Valley University in 2024, and he was a relay racer, and yeah, super fast. And then once he graduated, he was like, yeah, I guess I'm done with athletics, except for then he was like, oh, bobsled. Okay, you have to run fast to do the bobsled. So he transitioned to bobsled and he got really good at it. And now he's on the 4-man team. And if you guys want to watch him compete, it's tomorrow morning, Saturday morning is when his race is going to be. And we wish Brother Furnell so much luck. And also, if you wanted to know, he got married in the Cedar City Temple last year.
I'm cheering for the Italians on the 4-man bobsled.
Yeah, I think it's fun. So, yeah, just wanted to make note of that.
I watched the 2-man bobsled. That one's awkward. You lay on top of each other. Yeah. I was like, and apparently the one on top steers with their feet and the one below tries to control the speed or something like that. And I'm like, there's just nothing about if I was the one on top, I would be afraid I was smushing my teammate. And like, there's nothing about it that I'd be like.
There's so many weird events, Matt. I've been noticing that this Olympics. Okay. Like, for example, you said the bobsled and the solo bobsled where you just like put your head down and just like, I'm so afraid. Like, I'm happy you have a helmet on, but also, why are you doing that? Head first, you're going to die. You're going to die. Curling is bizarre, Matt. I've been trying to understand because I know like people are getting very into curling right now. I don't think it's a sport. I think it's manifesting and wishing and deep lunging. I cannot. I'm sorry. There's weird sports.
I would love it if somebody in my apartment complex was into curling, because then maybe they would come sweep my house. I'd be like, would you like to practice? I've got a driveway that you can sweep. My garage needs swept out.
Have you watched any of the cross-country races? I understand that cross-country is difficult, but it is a funny sport to watch. It's like you're running with sticks on. Like what?
And then at some point they randomly pull out a rifle and shoot at a target.
Yes. Yeah.
No, my favorite one is, I think it's called snowboard cross, but they race down the hill. There's 4 snowboarders and they race. Yeah. That's my favorite one.
I was watching one this morning where it's downhill skiing and you're like supposed to do fancy tricks and stuff. And they're going backwards downhill, flip, land backwards, keep going backwards downhill.
I mean, on those rails.
Yeah, there's some really fun, crazy, weird events. Matt, which Olympic event would you be best at? Winter Olympics.
It would have to be skeleton. That's the only thing I really can do. Head first down the hill. Just point me in the direction to go.
No.
I have to lean probably a little bit here and there, but mostly it's just like, and I think I could maybe ski jump, because they just go straight and.
Yeah, but they're going like 60 miles an hour, Matt.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. So then it would have to be figure skating, I think. Oh no, hockey. I could do like push people around on the hockey rink, but I can't skate backwards. So
yeah. No, I think figure skating to me, it's frightening because they have the skates have like those sharp edges. And every time they lift it up and hold it close to their head, I'm like, oh, please be so careful.
Yeah.
I think I'd be good at the one where you just like race in a circle around the ice rink.
Speed skating?
Sure, speed skating, because I'm pretty decent at rollerblading. And there's a lot of times that people like get pushed, and I think that's kind of fun, like roller derby style.
They're going like 90 miles an hour.
Yeah. When I'm doing it, I'm not. That's the one I'd be the best at.
So in the end, we could do curling, which is why we have no respect for that
Manifesting, sport. Yes. Okay.
Last one.
Okay.
Baptisms of the dead and private interviews. What no one knows about growing up Mormon. Big deal, little deal, no deal. 3, 2, 1.
Little deal. Did you clickbait this? Did you click on this? They got you.
No, I love this. So this is a story about Kit Barris.
Okay.
She is a huge OnlyFans star. She
Okay.
basically does porn for money as a job. And
Okay. It's
and in
clickbait.
no,
Yes.
no, I don't think so because
Okay.
she's telling her whole story, right? It's the same as the
Okay.
David Archuleta story. She talks
Oh.
about so her first story is like she had to sneak into the library because her mom would like take a black marker and redact pages of books, and she wanted to read books like as they were.
Mm.
And when it was time to get baptized, she didn't want to get baptized, but her parents kind of made her feel like she needed to get baptized. She makes $300,000 each month on OnlyFans. Um, so basically, she's saying, I'm not the kind of person that my parents wanted me to be. From a child, from my very young ages, I wanted to be something different. And so then she talks about all of these things that about the church that she thinks they're weird that her parents would make her do those things. But in my world, like this is totally normal parenting. And so I
Okay.
say, I think it's cool, not because it's clickbait, because it's like, I feel like there's somebody out there describing the way members of our church parent. And I
Mhm.
think that it's okay. Like, if your child wants to do porn when they grow up, they might rebel against what you're doing a little bit. And someday when they're older, they might be like, how dare my parents try to make me be so chaste when I was young? She talks about she got pregnant when she was 15 and her parents sent her off to live in Idaho to try to reform her. Like, this is what we do as members of the church. And
Yeah.
even though it feels like maybe a hit piece, I think it's kind of fun to be like, here's how we are, and that's okay. I'm proud of who we are as members of the church. They're not going to make me feel shame.
I love that about you, Matt. And you don't have to watch TV on Sundays if you don't want to, okay? It's fine. I think that it is hard to be a parent. It is so hard to be a parent. And I honestly think that one of the things I like most about the church is the structure and help that it gives to families. We're
Yeah.
trying to raise good kids. We're trying to. And it sounds weird when you say, "Ooh, private interviews." One of my students this week was talking about how weird it is that her dad sits her down every couple of months and has an interview with her and talks about like goals and plans and follows up from the last interview. And I'm like, is that weird, or is that the loveliest thing a father could do with his daughter? Like, I think it's lovely and sweet. But yeah, I guess those things could sound weird. I guess they could.
Okay, how about this? She says that when she went to girls' camp at 15, she said she remembers singing a song called I Love a Mormon Boy. And there's a
Oh, I
chant at the
know
end.
a Mormon boy. He is my pride and joy. He does most everything from this on out. And then it goes, someday I'll join his life. I'll be his Mormon wife. Oh boy, I love that Mormon boy. It's something like that. I didn't get it perfectly, but oh yeah, that's a great one.
And she said there's a chant at the end of the song that goes, more men, more men, more
No, it goes
men. Sing it again.
Mormon, 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 Mormon. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah, that's true. That's
I
true. It's
didn't
weird.
I didn't go to girls' camp, and so I had to check with you if that was like
Girls'
true.
camp is weird. We do weird things. That's true.
Her grandma threatened to kick her out of the house when she found out she wasn't paying tithing. I'm like, this
Hmm.
is so awesome. Like, good for them. This is
Matt.
what this is what you're supposed to do as a parent, right? Try hard to teach your kids the right thing. And they're probably crushed that their daughter is an OnlyFans person doing porn for lots of money, but it's fine. Like, that's who she is. And
Yeah.
I hope someday she comes back to the church, by the way. You're
What
welcome to come back to the church.
Yeah, what I hope is that she still feels loved and accepted and a part of her family. My sorrow would be if the family was like, we choose the church and not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is hard. Like, it's hard for when you're so different in what you value and what they value. It's really hard to make people feel that way, right? Because
Sure.
they're like, you're going to be disappointed in me. And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm not disappointed in you. I just
Yeah.
have different values and different things that I get excited about than you do. And that's okay.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Okay. It
but
turns
Melissa,
out that was a good story, Matt.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. That's all. We're going to end.
Well, we
I,
got to do This Week in Mormon History. I want to have time for that.
I don't know the song for This Week in Mormon History.
This Week in Mormon History, 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 history. Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Okay.
Okay, 65 years ago. 1961, a staff member of the church historian's office writes to the presiding patriarch, Eldred G. Smith, that patriarchal blessings had been given through 10 of the 12 tribes of Israel, the two not mentioned being the tribes of Issachar and Asher, and 15 other lineages had been named in blessings, including that of Cain.
I don't even know what are we talking about?
Like, in a patriarchal blessing, it'll say at the beginning, like, and you're through the tribe of Ephraim.
Right, but they said you're through the tribe of Cain?
Apparently, when they were looking through. And
Wait.
15 other. There's
15
only
other? There's
there's
only
only
12 tribes.
right. For some reason, nobody ever felt prompted to say Issachar or Asher. Apparently, they were like Dan, but
Huh.
yeah, but they never. And Cain.
No, what do you do when the patriarch says you come from the tribe of Cain? How do you
Isn't
make
that
sense
great?
of that?
I was a bishop one time, and there was a new patriarch that was recently called.
Uh-huh.
And so there would be people in my ward who were getting their patriarchal blessings, and then they would share with me things that had been said in the patriarchal blessing, and I was like, what? And all I knew to do is go to the stake president, and he was like, we're going to need to do some training with that patriarch.
I think it's great. I think patriarchs should have free reign and say and do whatever they feel. It's interesting that the church historian's office put this together and was like, so anyways, we've been looking at things. There's been some weird lineages mentioned.
My son was the first patriarchal blessing of a patriarch one time. And you could kind of tell as you read it. Like, he'll get better at this. But now I can say, at least he didn't say my son was from Cain, the tribe of Cain.
Right?
All right. 115 years ago, in 1911, the BYU Board of Trustees meets. The board agreed that the presidency of the faculty should consider the cases of the teachers in the university, Henry and Joseph Peterson and R.V. Chamberlain. Anyhow, the three professors who refused to change their teachings on evolution were either fired or resigned under pressure.
And this was when?
1911.
Okay. So I'm going to need you to tell me more. 115 years ago, BYU, professors fired three professors for their teaching on evolution.
Yeah, pretty much.
In other words, teaching that evolution was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want them teaching that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, I only bring that up because things like this change, right?
Yes.
Like,
there
are people today that get all mad that such and such professor is teaching this and they should be fired, or they'll be like, they shouldn't have been fired for saying that.
Yeah.
And in the end, it's a church school. The head of the board of trustees is the first presidency. And if they tell you, don't say that, I strongly recommend you listen to them if you want to keep your job. I don't know if you saw this story in the news, but Notre Dame University hired somebody who has a position on abortion that conflicts with that of the Pope. And so there's all these bishops that are like, so-and-so needs to be fired because of their position on abortion. And Notre Dame isn't firing them because the head of their university isn't the Pope. But I can assure you, if you were like hired at BYU and you have a position different than the prophet, you're probably going to get fired.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why Melissa didn't go to BYU. She followed President Hinckley's example in going to University of Utah.
That's correct. And that's why I watch the TV on Sunday and Matt does not.
And she actually knew what evolution was, whereas the rest of us were like, what is she talking about?
What's she talking about?
All right, this one's one of my favorite ones of all. This is 185 years ago.
Whew, I was just getting born then.
The military leaders of the Nauvoo Legion voted and agreed on a new set of rules regarding military service. They decided that every man living in the city of Nauvoo between the ages of 18 and 45 must serve in the local military unless they were excused by law or they had a special exemption from the military court. In addition to that, they said that if they didn't attend scheduled military parades, they would have to pay a fine.
Oh.
So they laid out like a general had to pay $25 and on down. Musicians were required to pay $5 in a fine if they missed the parade. And then they laid out like, here's when the parades are going to be. So they basically said, everyone has to be in the Nauvoo Legion and you all have to come to the parade. And if you don't, we're going to fine you for not showing up and marching in the parade.
This is a great example of what LDS parents do. We force participation in the things that we feel are important. And this is where it started, clear back in the Nauvoo Legion. You're going to be in our parade. It's important to us. Here we go.
Like, these things happen in the church even today, right? Our Lord's going to have a float in the parade. You have to participate.
Yep.
But we don't fine people for not participating.
Yeah, but we could. Maybe we will.
We say you either have to show up or you have to contribute financially to
or you're
going to
get called to serve in the nursery. These are your punishments.
Well, I hope that this week in Mormon history was delightful, Melissa.
Thank you, it was.
Hey, everybody, you can watch This Week in Latter Days on YouTube. If you search on YouTube for This Week in Mormons, it'll show you This Week in Latter Days. It'll also show you the This Week in Mormons page, which was our old name. I think there's 2 subscribers to that channel, but I don't think there's any content. So remember, the name is This Week in Latter Days. And you can send us emails, you can comment, you can visit our website, thisweekinlatterdays.com. But most of all, listener, we want to thank you for listening to the ever imitated, never duplicated, original Mormon News Podcast. Have a great day.